All right, today we're cracking open a case. We're not just looking at economic numbers, we're launching a full-blown investigation into one of the biggest mysteries in the developed world right now, a silent pay cut that is hitting millions of Canadians, probably including you. Let's be real, if you feel like you're running on a treadmill that just keeps getting faster, you are not crazy. You're putting in the hours, you're doing everything you're supposed to do, but somehow you feel like you're falling behind. And this number is exactly why. Over the last couple of years, Canada's real GDP per person has dropped by 2.8%. Now, what does that actually mean? It means that even if the whole economic pie got a little bigger, your personal slice of it, well, it actually got smaller. And that right there is the central question of our entire investigation. If you're working harder and the headlines say the economy is growing, then what on earth is going on? Why is your standard of living actually going backwards? Well, let's follow the evidence. Okay, every good investigation has to start at the scene of the crime. And in this case, the crime scene we're talking about is your wallet. We're looking at what some are calling a silent pay cut. So here's the core paradox, the real head-scratcher. In 2023, the Canadian economy grew by about 1.1%. And you hear that and you think, okay, not bad. But here's the catch. While the total economic pie got a tiny bit bigger, it had to be divided among way more people. The result? Your individual slice got smaller. And this comment from our source material just nails the frustration that so many people are feeling right now. It's the sense that the goalposts have been moved on you, and now you're being asked to run faster and faster just to stay in the exact same place. All right, let's follow our first major lead in this investigation. All the evidence is pointing to a massive system-wide overload. Just look at the sheer mismatch here. This is really at the heart of the problem. In 2023, Canada's population grew by a staggering 3.2%. At the same time, the economy only grew by 1.1%. I mean, you don't need to be an economist to realize that math just doesn't work for the average person. And this brings us to a super important point. What we're seeing isn't real growth, it's dilution. Think of the economy like a massive online game server. If you suddenly add millions of new players, but you don't upgrade the server itself, the infrastructure, businesses, housing, what happens? The game starts to lag. For everyone. That's the feeling right now.
But the story goes even deeper than just having more people. Our investigation now has to turn to the tools, or really the lack of tools, that everyone has to work with. This is where we get into something called capital dilution.
So what is capital dilution? Imagine you run a construction company. You hire 10 new workers, which is great, but you don't buy any new equipment. No new power tools, no new machinery. Now everybody has to share the same old drills and saws. The amount of capital, the tools and tech per person, goes way down, and so does their ability to get work done efficiently. And this slide illustrates the problem perfectly. Think of it like this. Our American neighbors are being given backhoes. Their economy is pouring money into powerful machinery and new technology that makes every worker incredibly productive. And what about in Canada? Well, it feels like we're being handed spoons. We're being asked to dig the same giant hole, but with tools that pretty much guarantee we're going to fall behind. So let's be absolutely clear, this productivity crisis is not an issue of effort. It's not about Canadians being lazy. People are working incredibly hard. The real issue is a systemic failure of investment. We're just not equipping our own workforce to win in the 21st century economy. And this brings us to the climax of our investigation, the one piece of evidence that shows this isn't just some minor little problem, but a deep structural crisis. This is the smoking gun. It's really easy to just blame everything on global inflation or some worldwide economic issue. But the data? The data shows something else entirely. The economic pain that we're feeling, it's not happening everywhere. It is a uniquely and very worryingly Canadian problem. I want you to take a moment and just really look at this chart. Over the past 2 years, while your share of the economic pie in Canada actually shrank by 2.8%, the average American's share grew by 3.9%. That isn't a small gap. This is what we're calling a decoupling. Two of the most connected economies in the world are now heading on completely different tracks. Let me say that again. This isn't just a gap, it's a chasm. It means the fundamental engine of prosperity is sputtering here in Canada, while it's accelerating just south of the border. And that has massive long-term implications for our wealth and our standard of living.
So, after laying out all this evidence, there's really only one question that matters. What can you do about it? So let's talk about the getaway plan, how you can defend your personal finances from this national economic glitch.
The hard truth is you can't single-handedly fix the country's productivity problem. But that does not mean you're helpless. You can absolutely take strategic steps to insulate your own money, your personal capital, from all this system-wide lag.
So here's a simple 3-step defense strategy. First, diversify. If the home team isn't performing well, it's probably time to stop betting your entire future on it. Spread your capital around. Second, invest beyond the border. Get some exposure to economies like the US that are actually rewarding investment and showing strong growth. And finally, step 3, and this is so important. Maximize your shields. Use every single tool you have available, your TFSA, your RRSP, to protect your wealth from the silent erosion this crisis is causing. Ultimately, everything we've talked about really comes down to this one question. The evidence is clear. You are working harder than ever before. So the question you need to ask yourself right now is this.